Big hey now, everybody. So this is another stream on the actuator topic. It's a natural continuation of yesterday's stream, where we have been talking about HEX yield on yield. And so just as a recap for that, we were talking about how it could make sense when HTTs are at a steep discount to swap for them and basically lock in yield over time in the form of HEX. All right. And so what that means is that you're buying these cheap HTTs and you're getting risk-free yield in the form of HEX. Now the reason for that is over time, between now and the actual redemption date for the HTT, the HTT will move on the market towards the price of 1 HEX, and then ultimately the HTT can be redeemed 1 for 1 for HEX. So it is HEX yield. So you're earning HEX on the HEX in that case. So we went through the steps talking about this. First step was buy cheap HTTs. Right? So you automatically lock in the fact that they're going to be worth more HEX in the future. And our basic thumb rule for that is when we're looking at it is, would you get more from swapping for the HTT or for staking Quattros income? That would be the ultimate review. And a little bit later in future streams, I'm going to get into the highly anticipated topic of not leveraging, but increasing the number of stakes that you have through amplification. Not always something that's available a little higher topic, but that's when the price goes in the other direction. But right now we're focusing on buying cheap HTTs. And what do you do with the cheap HTTs? We can hold them and just wait it out and just let the market do its thing, or you can provide an LP with HEX for these tokens, earn additional yield in the form of fees, right, for normal B2, as well as actuator yield. And that's when you earn the yield in their farm when you get these actuator tokens. And that's the genesis for this conversation, this stream today. So what do you do with the actuator? Well, as I mentioned yesterday, right, you could just simply swap it for HEX. That's what you choose to do, or anything else that you want. I mean, it's DeFi. If you provided the LP and you're farming it, you do what you want with the actuator. I mean, that's it. Now, there is a speculative play that can be made with the actuator. And I mentioned in the past stream, this is kind of where I'm leaning. So typically with reward tokens, not always, but they tend to be sell down tokens, right? People will sell them because they're getting the rewards. I mean, that's the whole purpose of doing the farm in the first place. So you don't always see that they maintain any type of a price or even come back over time. So let's go look at this. So we were talking about this stacking of yield. We're talking about you stack these 3 levels of yield, and then you earn the actuator. Well, what do? Well, there's a case to be made to utilize their actuator vaults. And this is a speculative play for sure, right? But you would use their actuator vaults where you deposit your actuator against the HTT that you want more of. And as people mint the HTTs, 1% is taken from the minting as a fee and distributed to vault holders. All right, so the vault holders get 1% of all the HTTs that are minted. So this gives you an opportunity to earn additional HEX on top of all the other potential rewards and yields in the system by taking the actuator that you earn and putting it in the vaults. Now, it's speculative because it requires that people utilize the system. So that's the speculation. If people don't utilize Actuator Finance, then there won't be HTTs printed, and therefore you won't see this what I'm showing on the screen. But I think that's unlikely, right? But it's a speculative play, definitely a little bit of asymmetric, because most of us, when we look at any type of rewards, right, you're looking to potentially realize that. You don't want to come back later and see the rewards at half the price, etc. So you will see some people sell them with the idea that, when the prices are lower, they will swap back in potentially, or maybe they don't come back to Actuator at all. So what I have up on the screen here is just one version of one of the possibilities of what things may look like in the future. Just a quick chart, just showing a couple different things on the screen. And you see these big bars that are there, these big columns. Well, these columns represent the amount of actuator being distributed per year. So in the first year, we had 350 million actuator distributed, and that was through the LP farming. The second year, which we have just begun just about a week or so ago, there will be another 250 million distributed. So it's gone down quite a bit. And then the next year, so starting in about the first week, second week of October in 2026, the final year of distribution of actuator will occur. And the emission rate then will be 150 million over the year. Afterwards, no more gets emitted, and the token actually becomes deflationary in part because people who do lock their actuator into the vaults, there's a time span that you're supposed to put it in. You have to put it in for 90 days. Afterwards, you can remove it. But when you put it in for 90 days, if you want to take it out sooner, you pay a small fee, and that small fee burns actuator. So the fee, you just get a little bit less, so you're actuator back. You do it. All right, so you see the columns, and that's the distribution. Oh, really? Thanks, James. I don't know. Maybe I'll try to speak a little bit higher, and then you tell me whether or not you can hear this better. I'll talk louder. All right, so this may be a test run that I'll have to come back and do another stream on. Sometimes these connections don't work great. All right, so columns are the distribution of actuator, and also on the screen you can see the estimated projected growth of the vault TVL over time, and that would be the increasing deposits of actuator in this scenario over time. And why would people deposit more actuator? Well, more actuator becomes available to deposit, and then presumably more HTTs are being printed, and so therefore people will want to get those HTTs and get a piece of them, and they will deposit in the vaults. Now, price is a different thing. Price is depicted by the blue dashed line that goes down and then comes back up. Now, I don't know that this will be the actual shape. It certainly has been the shape so far. It's gone down. It looks like it's bottomed and that it may go up from here. But we'll have to see, because people can do what they want with their actuator. They could sell it, and we might end up with another down leg over the next year where the price and pulse continues to go down, and then see it go up. But I think we're in accumulation phase now, where people will accumulate actuator because there won't be as much coming out. And those who are in the know about the protocol, they're hoarding the actuator and putting it in the vaults. So long term, it's a way to earn additional HEX on using actuator in the vaults. by getting a portion of that 1% fee for minting of the actual the HTTs. And so presumably over time, particularly with adoption of Actuator Finance, that can become very, very valuable. It can become very valuable. And really what would begin to happen, and has already happened in some respects, is the value of Actuator is determined by the value of HEX. Even if it's not tied directly in LP. There is a small pool right now, $5,000 TVL roughly. Maybe it's down to 4 with the price changes. But there, it'll be transmitted. The value will be transmitted based on how the market values the actuator. Because if you're able to get additional future HTTs from the minting, then that value would be in HEX. So that's the idea. So speculative play for sure does require, that you believe in crypto and you believe in pulse chain, you believe in HEX, and of course that actuator will become a thing, at much higher values, and that people will participate. All right. So let me leave this on the screen real quick. Let's go take a look at the chart, and then we'll look at the actuator dashboard, so I can show how you might choose which pool to go in. So let's go first over the chart now. I'm sharing the screen. Let's go over here. Let's go look at the actuator pairs that are out here. You can see quite a few pairs in the actuator ecosystem. The larger ones are the ones that are provided, liquidity is provided in by the community. All right, actuator versus pulse. Of course, price is very difficult to look at in USD because it doesn't tell the whole story. But you can see in USD that we've come down in price, and then have had a little bit of a bottom down here in July, and possibly it's moving back up. What I'm thinking could happen is another downturn over the next year in price, because people are going to be receiving the actuator as a reward. And again, if they want to realize that, it may require them to sell it. All right. So then if we look here at the price in pulse, it's a little bit cleaner. You can definitely see that after it was launched, prices come down in pulse, came down to the 10 level, stuck around there for a bit. Looks like a whale came in around April and brought it back up to around 22 pulse. But then it degraded again, kind of decayed. Another big player came in, decayed, big player, decayed, big player. So somebody's accumulating as it comes down. Right? Boom, boom, boom. We had this long stretch in July where it looks like it just bottomed out, started coming back up in pulse terms. Whale came in, price up, price up, price up. Now, why would that have happened over the summer? Why would that have happened over the summer? Well, those who have been paying attention to the actuator protocol knew that the HTT 4000s and 6000s were going to be launched, and they wanted to have actuator to put in the pools. They didn't want to give up their vaults that they already have and move it around. What they wanted was fresh actuator and to put in the vaults, and so that they can earn the new HTTs. And so that's what I suppose happened. Now that they've been out for a little bit of time here, what I do wonder about is that will we have even greater opportunities in the future, with being able to get additional actuator at lower prices. So, perhaps we kind of follow some sort of path like that, come down. to the five level, maybe even lower. We'll have to wait and see what people do. But we're definitely what I would consider to be a accumulation phase for Actuator. And what happens will all be determined by what happens with HEX, what happens with the use of the Actuator system, etc. Yesterday, we have been talking about HTT 7000 and how it had a very, it was mispriced by about 15%. I don't know if somebody watched the stream and had seen this, seen that stream yesterday, but anyways, somebody came in and took the top off of it. It was pretty cool to see. So about $6,000 or $7,000 worth of volume. They bought the HTT 7000 off the market. It did reduce the discount to HEX by about 6%. So it's still cheap, quote unquote, but it's not as cheap as it was. Somebody had done that. And I haven't seen that they've added it into any of the pools or anything like that, but somebody did take the trade on the HTT 7000. Now, if we go over to the vaults, we'll go farms first, I guess. Let's go to farms. This is a test address, so there's nothing in here that I have. But these are the total deposits, and you can see the farm share reward, how much of the 250 million is being distributed into each of the farms, and they have their APR listed. And right now, the HTT 4000 is currently paying the greatest APR in terms of Actuator, even though the share is just 15%. So that's a reflection of who's been in the farms. And so if I was in any of these farms here, I would be accumulating Actuator. The numbers, they update every block or so. These Actuator values would be going upwards, and what I would be able to do is hit the claim all button or go to individual and claim my pending rewards. Drops the Actuator into the wallet, quote unquote, and then what you're able to do is go swap it and do whatever you want to do with it there. A safe swap amount right now, let's see, they get about $10,000, $11,000 worth of liquidity with Actuator on V2, so we can use that as a thumb rule. 1% of that is 110. So something like $100 worth of swapping in and out of Actuator itself is kind of a safe, minimal impact situation, right? All right, so once I have my Actuator and I've got it in my wallet, I can go over to their vaults and we can take a look at this. So this is the vault page. And what I would do simply here, well, first we can look at the total deposits for the HTTs that are here. We can see that somebody made their own HTT, which you can do. Anybody can make any HTT for any HEX day. And you just have to put up the collateral to do it. So I do anticipate in the future people will make some HTTs to back tokens. So that I don't know exactly how that'll occur and what people will do, but we shall see. We shall see. For instance, I know there's one person out there who's been talking about possibly making the maxi equivalent redemption date and matching up their HTTs with maxi, for instance. Definitely a different level of play for that, but you could definitely see people doing that to grab that value. All right. So you can see where people have deposited, and pretty heavily into HTT 7000s, and then kind of similar numbers on the other HTTs here. So the question you would ask yourself is, which HTT do you want the most of, and which ones are most likely to be minted? And I would say in general, later HTTs have more likelihood to be minted. But we know that the 4000s and 6000s are rather new. And so, because they're new, those are likely to be minted more often, at least in the short term, which gives people the opportunity to earn more HTTs by going into those pools. Now that you can come down here and look at the vaults and what people have been earning, and or overall, and if you had earnings here, you can switch to that and see what people have been earning on the different pools. Let's go individual and see. So it does clearly show you, how much is being paid out. Yeah. You can come in and analyze that data. And then once you decided which one you were going to do, like I'd probably, because I go back to this screen that we were looking at. Let's go back to the farms, right? What do I think people might do? Well, right now, the greatest APR is 65.9% on the HTT 4000, and then followed by 57% for the 6000. It's probably likely that these APRs are kind of going to gravitate towards the 20% level, like the other tokens that are out there, right? That's kind of how people think. So I would guess they're going to go that way. For that to happen, somebody has to put up more LP with HTT 4000. Right? Well, where do they get the HTT 4000? Well, they either have to buy it on the market, changing the price, or they can mint it, because you wouldn't want to buy or swap for expensive HTTs, not when the discount is so low. So a different way to handle it would be to mint the HTT 4000s. And then if we get into amplified stakes in a different stream, I can show that a little bit further. So the likelihood is that more 4000s and 6000s will be minted. We can again look at the LP deposits here and go, well, there's $80,000 against 3,000 and $100,000 between 5,000 and HEX. So the 4,000 is later. Perhaps this number really should be 90,000. And that might give you an idea that people may be minting more, maybe, let's say 90,000, 70, 65. So maybe another $30,000 worth of HTT 4000s will be minted. And so that's quite a bit of HTT 4000s, and that would give you an opportunity to earn on those. So when you went to the vaults, you would potentially come in here and hit deposit and deposit your actuator. And then as the mints occur, again, you'll see the pending rewards update over time. So that's how you decide which one you wanted. I know some people just take a spread and they're just like, hey, listen, I want 1% of all of them, and they spread their actuator. Some people are hedging because maybe they minted 7,000s, so they're all in the 7,000 vault because they want to earn as many HTT 7,000s back as possible, that type of thing. So again, hopefully this was a useful stream for you guys on this topic. And so again, this is another way to earn additional rewards from your rewards, stacking the yield. Essentially, it's additional HEX yield on HEX yield. And I think speculatively, long term, the price of actuator could rise quite significantly, right? So it is speculative play. It's crypto. Anything can happen, and we just have to see what the actual people will do. Now, hopefully, the sound on this got a little bit better. I tried to talk a little bit louder. Sometimes I do that, particularly when I'm talking to myself. I get kind of loud. But with that, I'll say good morning, Ashley B. And thanks, James, for letting me know about the sound. And we'll see you next time on the next stream.
Yo, T, urgent HEX buy signal. Charts flaming hot. Golden ratio, huh? That's how legends stack T-shares.
Get them while they're crispy, folks. This window won't stay open long.
Stake smart. Win big. Time rewards those who act.
Stay crispy, Hexicans.
You gotta move it, move it! Feel the rhythm of the blockchain.